Welcome to episode 3 of Behind the Tapes, unhobbled, unbridled and unbiased. Joined by my co-host, as usual, Matt Markham, as we discussed harness racing action for the week in New Zealand, with a wee look abroad as well. Welcome, Matty.
G'day, Fitzy. Nice to be here for another week. Incredible that we've survived 3. Looking forward to delving into what was a really good week last week. We saw some great performances, particularly from a couple of first starters that we're going to highlight in a little bit of time. But yeah, and we'll touch on it as well. But People Power wins the day. Matty peed and listened, and we managed to get a market open on that Junior Drivers Premiership. So looking forward to talking all that and more with you as we work through the show, Fitzy.
Yeah, great to see the boys in Wellington listen. We put the call out and up went the market. So we'll discuss that a bit later on. But we saw a really nice debut win from one of Andrew and Lynn Neal's runners. We'll show that now, Matty, and you'll discuss him.
Yeah, his name, Alterior, a sports rider. Look, the drums were beating. Plenty of talk around for him after some pretty strong workouts and trials. And as we've come to expect from Andrew and Lynn's stable, when they take them to the races, they're pretty ready. And this guy was ready on Thursday night. He paced some pretty slick time. And as you'll see in the last couple of 100 metres of this video, Andrew, he has just absolutely jogged it. He's on nice tight lines. He's wanting to look about. His ears are pricked. He's definitely got a bit of development left in him, but on what we saw on Thursday night, he's going to be winning an awful lot more races. His name, Ulterior Motif. What do you think of his performance, Andrew?
Yeah, super performance that. And I actually took a wee look into Andrew Neal's driving stats because he doesn't have that many drives. And I think that was his 6th drive for the season. 3rd winner. He's had a 2nd and a 3rd. So he's only missed the top 3 once. So that's something for punters out there to keep an eye on, I guess. When Andrew Neal jumps in the cart behind one, he must think it's ready to go and it's pretty smart. So, and the punters were onto it. I think it opened $2.80 into $1.80, $1.90 in the end, and it did it easy, green. But he's just going to improve on that, and he's going to be a nice horse, I think. So really exciting there. And as we will head down to Invercargill, I see our good mate Johnny Turner described this as one of the best wins he's ever seen at Ascot Park at Spirit of St. Louis.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive, wasn't it? He's come from a long way off them. Look, when you broke it down by times, it probably looked better than probably what it actually was. And I'm not trying to detract from the horse there. Look, he's had to put up a phenomenal performance to win it. And, you know, he's a serious player. He's got real speed, this horse, and he's developing nicely. We've come to expect, you know, those horses from the Graham Anderson stable will step out and we can, you know, back them with a bit of confidence. And, yeah, this was a pretty special performance in terms of the weekend. So I thought he would go forward and win a lot more races in the coming months. Spirit of St. Louis, he was not that far off the best of his age group throughout the season. So looking forward to seeing what he can do in the coming months. Addington on Friday night, Andrew, I thought we saw a particularly smart filly make her debut. Her name, Sweet Belle, from the Jared O'Reilly stable in Raceway. Now, I'd spotted her at the workouts and trials around Canterbury a couple of times and talked to Jared about her a few times as well, and knew that he had a pretty big opinion of her. Look, this is a really nice performance from a filly who, like Ulterior Motif, is only going to get better and better with time. She's big, robust, she's got a bit of growing to do, but what I really liked was that every time Jared asked her to extend, she found a little bit more. And she just kept giving right the way to the line. Big run from La Rosa out wide, getting home in the Mark Jones colours with Ricky May in the bike. But this is a pretty smart filly, I think, Andrew. She's going to go on and do a good job. She was a reasonably cheap purchase. I think they purchased her for about $4,000 at the all-age sale a couple of years ago. She's worth a lot more than that, $4,000 after that debut performance, that's for sure. And another nice Sweet Lou filly out doing a good job on the track.
Yeah, Sweet Lou kicking goals, and I think they would have turned down some big money for that filly after that win, which was very smart. And Jared just dictated good gate speed show and got to the front. La Rosa stuck 3 fence, and from there, well, she always looked the winner, didn't she? And the punters, they got a bit too, because I think she opened quite a good price too. Late scratching will have affected the market move, but yeah, I think the pockets of punters, especially around Ashburton and Methven and Bitteracaya, I think there would have been scenes in the Rakaya pub. I think they might have been all on it.
Yeah, Brown Pub Methven was certainly going off from what I've heard. Four guys that own the horse have all had involvements in the racing industry for a long time. Stuart Ashworth, who was the caretaker up at Alexandra Park, he's got a quarter share. His brother Richard Ashworth, who's owned a lot of horses, and a lot of people will know from the yearling sales every year when he was working for PGG as a bid spotter. He's in the ownership as well. Long time in between drinks for Richie, I think. His last winner might have been a horse called Classy Gent, trained by Jeff Kelk, so we're going back a few years there. His fellow owner, Brian McGurr, who is the son of the late Pat McGurr, who trained here in Methven, he's got to go back 20 years to find his last winner. So a long time in between drinks for the guy they call Berger. And the fourth guy, a new guy to the game, Martin Hickman. We call him Moose. Big, loud Englishman. You would have heard him if you're at Addington on Friday night, because he was certainly roaring. But that was his first ever winner. So really, really cool moment. And they were a great advertisement for the racing game and what ownership's all about after the race, Fitzy. So that was awesome to see.
Yeah, it was great to see. I know Stacey White did a video with them at Addington after the win, and they showed a lot of emotion. And as they said, there was some. I think one of them mentioned 30 years since their last winner or something like that. So as you say, a long wait, but they've got a filly with immense amount of talent. So that was those three that we spotted, Maddie. And hey, last week we put the call out to our friend up in Wellington, Matthew Peden, for a junior drivers premiership market. They put it out. There's been some big movement, and Ben Hope opened $3.20, John Morrison $3, current odds $2 Ben Hope, $2.50 John Morrison. Nearly write your ticket. The rest, they're offering some good odds there if you think Cherie Tomlinson, Dylan Ferguson, or Sarah Riley are going to pick them two boys up. But in my eyes, Maddie, it looks like a two-horse race. What do you think?
Yeah, I probably agree with you. Look, first off, a big well done to Matt and the team at the TAB. You know, when we sort of started talking about the show, Fitzy, we talked about how we wanted to, you know, enforce a bit of change and get things happening within the industry, and we managed to do that. And with the support of Matt and obviously getting that market up, you know, it was the call was to get it up before Addington on Friday night, and lo and behold, it was there. And what really pleased me was there was some action straight away. We saw Ben's price shorten within about 15 minutes of the market opening. And look, I think it'll keep fluctuating. Ben's probably going to be the strike rate driver over the next 5 weeks, but Johnny Morris is going to be the man with the weight of drives. I think we had a quick count up just before, Andrew, and this weekend, John's got about 16 drives across the 2 meetings at Addington and Invercargill. Ben's number is probably going to sit somewhere around the half dozen. And look, I wouldn't be betting into it yet unless you are really, really confident. The 250 for John Morrison probably appeals. I think he can win a couple this weekend. He's got some really nice chances. And that price might just shorten up, and they might end up sort of toing and froing a bit. But yeah, 2-horse race for me, I think. I'm still going to stick with Johnny. I just think the weight and numbers that he's got coming over the next few weeks, and the support that he gets when he goes down to Southland is going to take him a long way. So the 250, yeah, I got him at a little bit longer than that, I will say that, so I'm not too worried. But yeah, the 250 against $2 probably seems about fair, I suppose.
Yeah, I think just looking at the drives Johnny's got, I've just written a list down here: Racing Minister, Sweet Annie, Tierra Maria, Zambia, Shout Out. That's just quickly looking at his drives this week. I think if you're going to back him, the 250 this week is where you're going to take probably your value. The value was probably last week after Ben got a couple of winners, where he was $3.80, $4. But I think if you're going to back him, that's probably the best price you're going to get for John Morrison for the rest of the month, is that 250. Whereas the $2 on Ben Hope, I think Johnny will probably pick up a couple of winners this week. So unless Ben can pick up a winner out of those 4 drives he's got, which are quality drives, I think you'll see that price go out. So as you say, there's going to be a bit of toing and froing in the market. But when I spoke to Matty last, he said the market's been really well bet into. A lot of bets for nearly every driver. So it's great to see some turnover, and obviously we pumped it out on social media to get some turnover in there. So it's really good to see. Also on markets, I think they're aiming to get a few futures out pretty soon. Maybe the handicap, the Dominion handicap. So that could be something to look out for, and we'll tell punters obviously next week or the week after if that's out. So it's really good work to see from the harness bookies up there that they're going to get those markets out, and they're open to getting them out early so people can punt into them. So yeah, that's probably my advice for punters out there. If you're going to have a bet on John Morrison, do it this week. Take the 250, because by Thursday afternoon, after 5 or 6 races at Invercargill, he could easily be into $2. So yeah, take into that and jump into that.
No arguments from me there. I think Racing Minister's one of my bets of the weekend based on its performance last week. So he's also got a really nice maiden called Harrison that goes around in his own colours on Sunday at Addington. So yeah, going to be interesting to watch that unfold over the coming weeks. I think we're going to see some movement there, and who knows, one good week for one of those ones that's chasing and it's all on again, and the 2-horse race becomes 3. So just, you mentioned the Dominion handicap potentially opening. Some news out this week that Oscar Bonavina will not be there. Of course, our best player, he's got some bone chip issues, so he's going to miss most of the season. So, and speaking of injuries, some really, really good news from the people's champion, I guess you could call him, Fitzy, and you may collect positive vet reports today, and he's now allowed to resume back fast working. So you could almost hear Kirsten Barclay cheering, along with Tank Ellis from all the way up here in Methven, from down there in the deep south today. So that's great news for the New Zealand Cup build-up.
Yeah, I think we heard the whole of Southland cheering, and probably he's got a big fan base. Since he took that run on right from the get-go, I was pretty vocal that he was the horse, the next horse up in that higher grade that harness racing really could support. He's got a great story about him. I think purchased from the weanling sales for $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. Trained in the south, injury prone, older horse with relatively young trainers that are making their way. Kirsten obviously making her way and making a real name for herself. So I really promoted her and that horse, and we saw a big fan base jump into it. So he's going to have a big following towards the New Zealand Cup, and fingers crossed and toes crossed that he gets there and they get their day, because on his best performance, he's right up there with them. He's certainly, you can't argue now that he doesn't deserve his spot in those races after some of the wins we've seen, because boy, he's just got an electric turn of foot, hasn't he?
Yeah, he does. Look, when he first came up to Addington, not the first time, the second time he won his last race there was a lot of people out there that were pretty quick to knock him because he only just got over the line ahead of Classy Brigade. What Classy Brigade did in the 6 months following that performance probably just further underlined for me just how good this horse is. Classy Brigade obviously went out, in some ways was actually a bit of a tragedy beaten in the New Zealand Cup, was very, very unlucky. I'm looking forward to seeing him back. It's going to be a slow and steady approach to returning to racing for him, but you just know that everything's going to be done with the horse's best interest at heart. And yep, can't wait to see the Southland crowd get behind a champion and get him up to Addington on the second Tuesday in November. Fitzy, that's for sure.
Yeah, and just while we're on injury horses, probably Chase Auckland's probably one that people have been wondering where he is, and he's still in Sydney, recovering from an injury picked up over there. He had surgery on a leg and on a weak joint in there, and I think he's allowed back into a box. He's out of a box, into a small area, and he's probably 8 weeks away from returning home and starting another step of rehab. So he's one, just like You May Collect, that has ability and is on the injury comeback. So just a wee update on him for people out there that were wondering where Chase Auckland was.
Well, I know there's 52 that'll be particularly interested in where he's at, Andrew, and that being the syndicate. So good to hear that there's some positive news there for Chase Auckland, because he's another player in all of our major races next season.
Tomorrow's the first of 5 Wednesday meetings in the Auckland area, and tomorrow we're at Alexandra Park, Maddie, and I've found one there, and so have you, and we'll go through our best bets. Now I'm going to race number 9, Daisy Hill. Really smart trotter of John and Josh Dickey's, only off 15 metres. Didn't think the field was overly strong, and it's a small field, and I think she'll be too good for them. That's basically it. What about you?
Yeah, I'd agree with you on her chances. Obviously, some news out of the Dickey stable this week with a stormwater drain wiping out their track. So, seeing some updates today on social media from Josh, it looks like they're all back up and running. But agree, Daisy Hill looks really a good chance tomorrow night. I went to race number 2, Silk, up from the Ivan Court stable and into, of course, the Stonewall team. Sorry, spit it out, Matthew. Very good winning the last two. Alicia Harrison takes the drive again this week in the junior drivers event. Key scratchings there of Rusty Rush, I think it is, from the Hurley stable. I think that gives Silk a really good chance to get to the top again and should be hard to beat. So race 2, number 4, Silk. Then we make a rare Thursday appearance, Fitzy. Thursday afternoon at Alexandra Park at Invercargill, Ascot Park. For an 11-race program down there. I think we can start the day in the right way. Look, there's going to be some short price favourites down there on Thursday. Mitchell Kerr's taking a big team down there. Taste of Honey and Connor's Egg and those likes. So I'd expect him to have a big day. But I think you can start the day the right way with number 7, Racing Minister, in race number 1, John Morrison for Doug McLaughlin. Big second last week behind Southern Belle. I would expect it just to roll to the top and be pretty hard to beat. What did you find for us down there?
Yeah, I've gone to race 4, number 4, Bar Dot. He was first up for over 16 months last week. Was sat on the trail and got home really nice. So I'm expecting big improvement out of that fitness-wise. And Sarah O'Reilly takes the reins. And main danger in that race, Brad Mowbray's Southern Belle. That was a really good winner the other day. So I agree with you on Racing Minister. That run the other day, massive. With any type of a trip, it'll be tough to beat. So that's Invercargill covered in Addington Friday night, as usual. Premier Harness Racing Track. I'm going to go race 9, number 3, JR Bromack. Super run first up. He'll come through that leaps and bounds after a couple of nice trials. Blair Orange, Ken Barron. Do I need to say much more? Good barrier draw. Last race of the night. Get out stakes. What about you, Matty?
Yeah, I'm going to go a couple of races earlier than that, and I'm going to probably take a pretty dangerous step in tipping a trotter that at its last appearance tipped its driver out and went full steam in a full-blown gallop around the Ashburton track for a couple of laps. Its name is Majestic Action, now in the stable of Trent Esberg. Look, if you get a chance, punters, go and have a look at its workout performance at Rangiora last week. It might have even been a trial. Was in behind, well, in around some pretty nice horses, and I'm talking Escargot, Vacation Hill, Enhine was in there. What is most important is it began like really, really safely and managed to lob its way into the trail. But have a look at the hold of it Gavin Smith's got at the 200-metre mark, and look how easy it jogs down to the line. Trent's team's in great form. He's doing a good job with a small team. Trent, you can back them with a bit of confidence, just like you can back to get one away hard to beat. So race 8, number 10, Majestic Action for me at Addington on Friday night. Then, of course, we return there on Sunday, Fitzy, for another racing program from there. I've spotted one that I thought was very, very unlucky first up a couple of weeks ago. Goes around in race 3. It's number 9, Kaki Nui from the Letherby stable. Look, it jumped to the trail last time, and then it was in the race where Bo Major galloped and went down to the inside of the track, and it ended up 4 fence. It just had nowhere to go. I backed it that day, and I'll be backing it again on Sunday because it falls into a race that I thought was very, very winnable. So race 3, number 9, Kaki Nui for me on Sunday. What did you find for us there?
Yeah, I'm going to go to race for you. So chance for a wee multi here for the punters out there. Race 2, number 2, Don't Quote Me. Team Baggery, Tom Baggery does the training. And just in a wee 2-horse trial a couple of weeks ago at Ashburton, which was really smart. He got home really well, did it nice, and he's got a pretty big rep on him, this fella. So I think he should be winning his maidens there, and hopefully we've tipped a few more winners after last week, Matty. We've got a few home there, so the punters should have been happy.
Yeah, they should. Look, the beard is coming off. I did lose that head-to-head bet. Just haven't had a chance yet because obviously we're a day early this week. So, look, it'll be gone at some point in the next week. It's a bit cold in here, in Memphis at the moment. They're talking snow overnight, so I might keep it on for a couple of days just to keep the cheeks warm if there's going to be some of the white stuff on the ground. But yep, some really good performances last week, and I'm looking forward to some really good performances in the coming week as well. And what's an early start to the harness racing week for what we've been had to compare it to for the past 5 weeks or so.
Yeah, an early start, but I think there's still some really nice races to jump in there, and I'm really interested to see how the Wednesday nights at Auckland go, turnover wise, and if that becomes sort of regular. I know it's probably not ideal for people up there training. You know, when you've got that Sunday, it's probably a bit better than a Tuesday. Obviously, you want to work them 2 days before the races, so it's going to be a bit tricky for people, but I'm really interested to see the figures out of that. And I think it's a good move getting away from the Saturdays, away from the gallops. I don't know what you think on that, but I just think we just get blown out of the water by Ellerslie, Randwick, Flemington, you name it. The amount of money that goes through the totes in them is massive. And I'm really interested to see the Wednesday, Thursday, the turnovers on there. I believe Tuesdays afternoons are the way to go. I know we used to have them and they went away from them, but now we've got Menangle and Albion Park and all of that racing on the Tuesday. I think it'd be a really good market to jump into and get a wee bit of Aussie money working with Menangle and Albion Park, where those trotting punters dive into. So I don't know what your thoughts are on Wednesday and Thursday, but I'm interested to see how it goes.
Yeah, well, the Wednesday night's obviously a proven model, particularly in Australia. So it will be interesting to see. Look, I probably have fears for Invercargill on Thursday afternoon. I just feel like Thursday afternoons often get a little bit lost as opposed to a Thursday night. The Saturday situation's a little bit interesting because I think if the Harness Co was actually treated with a bit of respect in the way that it deserved to be treated, particularly post-lockdown, we would have seen those Invercargill meetings on Trackside 1 running alongside the Doomben programs, the Randwicks and the Caulfields, you know, and the chance of people betting into those races would have been remotely higher than being buried on Channel 2, racing along with the Gunda, wherever we are, Greyhound meeting that's going on at the time. So, look, it'll be interesting to see the figures from this week. I think looking at the nominations for this week, we're starting to get on the other side of the peak, I guess you could say, in terms of horse numbers. They obviously had some pretty light nominations for Sunday, so going to be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, looking forward to seeing the new format of a week after 5 or 6 weeks of the same. So looking forward to that, and yeah, I think we'll find a few winners there too, Fitzy.
Hopefully we do. We saw Buckskin take out a well-deserved maiden win last week, just getting up right on the line. Midnight Dash, Eurocash, they both won. Ivana Legacy, another second Ghost Rider, one for the Black Book, Maddie, because you pointed it out, flying home late. And I tipped a maiden trotter last week, Whimsical Wizard. And I know it got beat, and I know it went against all my punting theories of maiden on debut trotter, but I really like the way it went. I know it galloped the last bend, but it's one to stick with. I think it's got a pretty big future. So we did a bit of form then, and we did find a few winners. So hopefully again this week and Tuesday nights for the next month at least, Maddie, will be us with these Wednesdays coming in Auckland. So hopefully everyone tunes in, and yeah, we look forward to doing it all again next week and having you join me and adding a few more in. We couldn't get Brittany Graham this week for Over the Ditch just because of the timing. Really, we jumped into this. So yeah, no, we're looking forward to continuing to bring this to people's attention. And as I said at the start, unhobbled, unbridled, and unbiased. We're going to say it how we see it. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the feedback's important for us too. We got some pretty strong feedback in the past week over a few things that we discussed last week in the show, particularly our thoughts around the starter situation in Canterbury. And we want to encourage people to come and, you know, approach us at the races or hit us up on social media and have a chat. Let us know your thoughts, because we might sit here and think something, but we are only a minority. So nice to get some agreements. And on the same sort of the opposite side of the coin. It's nice to get some people that come up and want to have a debate with you as well. So keep that feedback rolling in, throw in your suggestions. As Fitzy said, we're independent. We're not tied to anything. We're going to say what we think. And if people don't like what we say, well, at the end of the day, it's our opinion, so we're entitled to that. And we'll try and back it up as much as we can. But yeah, looking forward to continuing to tackle a few of the issues. But until next week, Fitzy, toodaloo to you and to everyone out there in the harness racing world. Hopefully you have a good week and the wallets are nice and full come Sunday evening.